Hey folks, this is Rhykker with a Diablo 3 Season 21 video on the best builds. In this video, we're going to take a look at the 10 best builds that you can play in Season 20 for solo Greater Rift pushing. And we're going to group 50 of the top builds of the game into a tier list of their relative power. We'll also be making comparisons to our Season 20 tier list to see what new builds have emerged, what builds have dropped in power, and which have risen. As always, links to every build we will cover in this video will be provided in the video description below. And we'll also cover which classes have the best and the worst starter sets for Season 21. Now, the first thing you may wonder is, why are these builds ranked by relative power as opposed to absolute power? Why can't you just tell me this build can do a GR 130? Well, because I feel that relative power is a much more useful measure. What GR you can do will be heavily dependent on how much Paragon you have, how many augments you have, how perfect your gear is, and how skilled you are as a player. So if you could typically do, for instance, a GR 100 with a certain build, and you see in my tier list that another build can do 10 GRs more, then you can expect that if you start playing this other build, you'll be able to do a GR 110. So before we dive into the tier list itself, let's start with a dishonorable mention. The Necromancer's Inarius set. While I used to love this set, it's fallen far too behind in power to even make it onto the tier list. And yet it is the starter set for Necromancer in Season 21, which means that the Necromancer has the weakest starter set for Season 21. Alright, now let's dive into the tier list itself, beginning with the F tier. F as in fast forward past these builds, because there's been no change in them since Season 20, so we don't have to discuss any of that. So let's move on straight to the D tier. D as in, don't forget to buff these builds next season, Blizzard. We have two new additions to this tier. The first being the new Necromancer set, the Masquerade of the Burning Carnival. Let me start by saying that this is my favorite Necromancer build with respect to playstyle. I dislike the playstyle of most Necromancer builds, but having a bunch of body doubles shoot out spears when I do, without having to rely on any of those super long cooldown powers, that was really fun to me. Unfortunately, this build is quite weak relative to other builds in the game. Is it viable? Yes, absolutely, but there are much stronger Necromancer builds out there. And even after the bug fix from PTR to final patch release, we're only seeing a rise of about 2 Greater Rifts from that, and this build is still way too weak. It makes for a great speed farming build in Torment 16, but it's not going to push Greater Rifts anywhere close to the other Necro builds. So hopefully Season 22 sees a significant buff to it. The other build new to this tier is the Hydra Wizard set build, the Typhon Wizard. This is one of the rare times that I outright drop a build a tier due to it underperforming. Is this build viable? Absolutely yes, but it's not performing as well as I'd hoped, and there is another Hydra build variant that is even more powerful, and so I'm hoping to see this set buffed in Season 22. Now I'll note that we also have in this tier the SmokinWookie Wave of Light build, which is outclassed as a Greater Rift pushing build, but is one of the fastest speed farming builds in the game. With SmokinWookie being the starter set for monks in Season 21, this actually gives monks a really good starter set. And there's another SmokinWookie build on this tier list that is even better for Greater Rift pushing, allowing you to easily transition from one variant to the other, from speeds to pushing. Now also in the D tier we have the Firebird Wizard, and sadly this is the best that Firebird has to offer. The Firebird set is the starter set for Wizard in Season 21, giving Wizards a pretty rough start. Then lastly we have Leapquake in this tier as well. This is the starter set for Barbarians going into Season 21. It's one of the Barb's weaker options, but it's still a fun build. Next onto the C tier. C as in move along, nothing to see here. These are your middle of the road builds. They are all viable, but they are outclassed by other builds. We have one new addition to the C tier this season, and it's the Pestilence Necromancer. This patch has had its damage doubled, which makes it rise from D tier to C tier. Also in this tier, we have the Jade Witch Doctor set, which is the starter set for Witch Doctor in Season 21, which is a pretty okay starter set. Next we have the B tier. B as in Boy, I sure wish Rhykker would just skip straight to the A tier. We have some new additions to this tier, including an all-new Unhallowed Essence generator build that is possible thanks to the buffs to the 9th series satchel and, consequently, Hungering Arrow. There was a time when an Unhallowed Essence generator build was the best Demon Hunter build. It was a grenades build, but the buffs that Hungering Arrow is getting via the 9th series satchel makes it the generator of choice for Season 21. However, I don't expect that this build will see much use because there is a much more powerful generator build for Demon Hunter. Now, new to this build for Demon Hunter, rising from the C tier, is the Shadow Impale build, which has had its damage doubled thanks to a new multiplier on its quiver. The Shadow set is the starter set for Demon Hunter for Season 21, and this gives the Demon Hunter the strongest start of any class for Season 21. This build is very easy to put together, pretty easy to play, and very powerful. Season after season, you see this build topping the Demon Hunter leaderboards early season, only to be eventually outclassed, replaced by other Demon Hunter builds. The buffs that we're seeing this season are going to make Shadow Impale linger at the top for even longer, but still it will not be the most powerful Demon Hunter build of Season 21. Another build new to the B tier is the Legacy of Dreams Grim Scythe Necromancer. This is a new build that makes use of the Changed Haunted Visions item, which now duplicates your casts of Grim Scythe. So you combine the Changed Haunted Visions with Nair's Black Death, which gives you more damage for every poison skill you hit with, and we start combining some considerable damage multipliers and get as a result this new Necromancer build. Despite the fact that the new Necromancer set isn't that good, this is still an excellent season for Necromancers thanks to the emergence of a number of new powerful build options. Now, as a conservative estimate, we're putting this build at the top of B tier, but it may be powerful enough to enter A tier. And that takes us onto our A tier and our top 10 builds of Season 21. Coming in at number 10, we have the Legacy of Dreams Hydra build. This is possibly the easiest top build to play in the entire game, but it is slightly edged out in power by another wizard build. That said, it is immensely easier to play than the most powerful wizard build. Coming in at number 9, we have the Legacy of Dreams Corpse Explosion Necromancer. This is looking to be the best Necromancer build of Season 21 thanks to massive buffs to Corpse Explosion. Corpse Explosion is basically the new Corpse Lance for Necro. And number 9 is again a conservative estimate. Very conservative actually. It would not surprise me to see this build rocket up the list. Coming in at number 8, we have the Natalia Rapid Fire Demon Hunter. This was the top Demon Hunter build last season, but this season a new contender has entered the arena and will be the best Demon Hunter build. Very closely behind number 8, we have number 7, the Vir Chantodo Wizard. This is the most powerful build that wizard players have available to them. Very close behind number 7, we have number 6, the Zunimasa Dagger of Darts Witch Doctor. This was the star Witch Doctor build before Season 20 added the Mundunugu set. Mundunugu dominated the Witch Doctor landscape in Season 20, but now with it getting a nerf in Season 21, we might see some Witch Doctor players start to pick up Zuni Dagger of Darts again. And now coming in at number 5, we have the Mundunugu Witch Doctor. This build in Season 20 was S tier and by far one of the most powerful builds in the game. In Season 21, it's receiving a well-deserved nerf, but it remains the most powerful Witch Doctor build. And placing it at number 5 is still a conservative estimate. Don't let anyone fool you into thinking that Mundunugu is dead. Yes, it lost its ability to work in pet modifiers as extra damage multipliers, but I wouldn't be surprised if this build hits top 3 more so than just top 5. Then coming in at number 4, we have the new GOD Gears of the Dreadlands Demon Hunter. This build uses the all-new Demon Hunter set and currently has a number of different variations. As the build is perfected, as the most optimum variation is found, it would not surprise me to see this build rise in power further. It's unlikely to become the best build of Season 21, but it might be a little more powerful than we're predicting. At the very least, it would not surprise me to see it overtake the next build on this list. Coming in at number 3, that's the Sunwukko Tempest Rush Monk. As we specified earlier, Sunwukko's is the starter set for Monk in Season 21, and having the flexibility to easily shift from one of the top GR pushing builds in the game to one of the top speed builds in the game makes this set all around fantastic. Then coming in at number 2, we have the Valor Satyr. This and Mundunugu's were the top 2 builds of Season 20. They were absolutely too powerful, and they both deserved a nerf. And both these builds received a nerf. While the nerf has taken the Valor Satyr down a peg, it's actually possible that this nerf wasn't enough and we may see the Valor Satyr retake the number 1 spot in Season 21. But with our current predictions, we're going now into the S tier and the number 1 build for Season 21, the Whirlrend Barbarian. With the Valor Satyr and the Mundunugu Witch Doctor getting nerfed, this leaves the Whirlrend Barbarian as the only S tier build that remains untouched. It is by far the most powerful Barbarian build, and clearly in a separate league than most of the A tier builds we've covered. Again, apart from the ones that we gave conservative estimates to. Now again, it's possible that Mundunugu and Valor may return to overtake Whirlrend because we still have to feel out the full extent of those nerfs. But if that happens, we will update this tier list, and you can always find the most up-to-date version of the image on my website, Rhykker.com. And that's gonna wrap up this video. But as a reminder, I have links to all these builds in the video description below. And leave a comment with what build you're deciding to run with in Season 21. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube supporters for making these videos possible. If you like what you see on this channel and want to support the creation of more content, you can consider pledging on YouTube or Patreon and unlocking behind-the-scenes content, monthly virtual hangouts, and more. If you enjoyed this video, please share it, check out these other videos, and subscribe to join Rhykker's Raiders for more Diablo content.